Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Two Gamer Dads podcast, episode 19. As usual, my name is Ian, and with me is Marv. Hi, Marv.
Hello.
And we have a recurring guest. I think he eventually maybe this may become Two Gamer Dads plus one friend. But we have Tristan again. Hi, Tristan.
Hello.
So we are on episode 19. It's quite crazy. So we're just one episode short of episode 20, and so we need to think of for the previous route, like 10 every 10, the previous episode that we did on episode 10, we invited our spouses,
Wives.
right?
Yep.
Our wives. So we need to think of something interesting for episode 20, maybe our kids, but that would be a very short episode because they wouldn't be in it for very long.
One
They
minute.
will be like, yeah,
Ah.
they can have your cat, I guess, if you want to join us. That will be an even shorter. Oh, I think the cat will have a bigger attention span than our kids, I think.
Yep.
Most probably.
The cat will sit there longer than our kids.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But anyway, today's episode is a little bit different. We are, usually we talk about our lives and what we've been doing up to, and we're still gonna do that later at the end, just kind of doing it at the tail end of the episode. But we're gonna focus on something a little bit more specific, and that is Monster Hunter. So recently, Monster Hunter Sunbreak is an expansion that just came out on the Switch. I think NPC came out on the 30th of June. I think so, about 5 days ago. So most of us have been, three of us have been playing it. Some more than others. But I think it's quite interesting because I think we're all at different levels of progress, and so I want to kind of like catch up with what everybody's doing, how they feel about Sunbreak, but also kind of like going back to the beginning because I think both of you have played Monster Hunter more than me, as in you started Monster Hunter
Long time
earlier
ago.
than me. Yeah,
Long
and
time
Monster
ago.
Hunter actually has a very long history. And so I kind of want to just like for our audiences, people who are listening, kind of want to like, if you've never played a Monster Hunter or you've never even heard of Monster Hunter, hopefully this episode kind of like makes you interested a little bit and makes you want to play because I think it's a series that is worth getting into. And once it gets its hooks into you, right, it's actually quite an it's a very addictive game because I think it's one of those games like Destiny or Diablo that has a very good gameplay loop. And once you get some games, right, you play it once and then you need that time to hours to get in before the gameplay hits you, and then you're like, okay, I'm addicted, and then you start playing. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But maybe I just want to ask Zijian and Marv, in your own terms, how would you, let's say if you were to describe Monster Hunter to, I don't know, your parents or or someone who has never played Monster, okay, maybe not your parents, it's too hard because you need to explain. But maybe
To
like
a gamer, like at least a gamer,
yeah,
right?
to a gamer, but how would you explain what Monster Hunter is? Maybe you
Uh,
start with Marvel.
well, I wrote the post, the Instagram post. So,
Yeah, man.
but that one is not really a very good explanation, lah.
Mm.
I would say, okay, if I was explaining it to a gamer, I
Yeah.
would say it's Souls-like combat in terms of
Mm.
learning the moves with a very distinct character growth in an RPG style in terms of like your equipment. Yeah, I mean, if I had to put it in one sentence, I think that would be it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Zijian, what about you?
For me, it would be to realize your dream as a monster hunter.
It's like using this is like this is like when you do your 造句 in Chinese exam, then they give you that word, right? They're supposed to construct the sentence.
Yeah.
Then you use that you just use that word to construct the sentence. 我现在在用这个字来做造句. Like you're using the same word to describe the definition of the word.
I mean, yeah, it's really a game where you
Yeah.
fight big monsters.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, and it's not. I mean, okay, Souls is one thing, but you do it together with your friends. It's more of a you get more out of it if you play together
Yeah.
with your friends. Lah.
I
Yeah,
just want to
That's how
say
what hooks you.
I brought a Monster Hunter team drink today. Yes.
What?
Kirin.
Kirin beer.
Hey, you don't even drink beer. Are you even? Is it
It's for
even
the
open?
show.
Are you gonna open it?
I'm gonna open it.
Oh, okay.
There's
Are
no
you gonna?
Kirin in Sunbreak, right?
No. No, no. There, not that I know of, at least.
It's okay.
Not that I've played
I killed my fair share of Kirin in WoW, so I
in
get to drink
WoW.
the beer.
Actually, Tristan, do you have beer on hand now? I have a
Beer
Yebisu
on.
in my I have a Yebisu in my fridge. I can go get it.
Go
If
get
we
it.
I
Go
have
get
all
it.
wine.
gonna Sorry?
I have something in the fridge.
Okay, let's go get it first. I'm gonna get it really quick.
Go get it.
I'll be right
I'll
back.
fill the airtime. Yep. So the guys are gonna get their beer. Sorry, we had to interrupt our podcast because I sprung the beer on them. Actually, it wasn't planned. It wasn't planned. I just happened to be at the supermarket near my place, and then I saw like some beer on sale, and it was pretty cheap. It was Japanese beer, so I grabbed it. But I didn't even realize it was Kirin beer until I brought it back home lah. So, not 100% planned, but just
Yeah.
happy coincidence.
Alright. So I have a premium Yebisu. There's no monster unless you count the fish as a maybe this is the hunter, he caught the fish.
Juraitos.
Juratatos. Juratatos. Yeah, okay. Sorry for this um unplanned
Unscheduled interruption.
unscheduled interruption. But okay, maybe on that case, if you're listening to this podcast right now, whether it's live or like we are listening to it as a separately, you can go get a drink as well. Unless you're listening to it in the car or something, then you're kind of stuck.
Don't drink and
Okay,
drive, kids.
Titan's doing drift. Okay, well, Titan looks like he has green tea.
The other one that's not green tea.
Oh, what is it? Can you show us? Okay, I show you what I have. I have Yebisu. Oh, wrong side.
I have some fruit beer.
Voila, fruit beer. Bring closer to the screen. Is it like some Korean one? Oh, Horoshi? Horoyoi. 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 Alright. Kampai. Cheers.
Just from,
Cheers.
I don't know how far is Singapore from Japan.
7 hours flight, I don't know. Couple of thousand kilometers? 3,000, 4,000? Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, sorry. We're talking about what is Monster Hunter. And yeah, I think, sometimes games have very poor descriptions. Like when you like, for example, I was thinking about this in the shower just now. When you think of the game Devil May Cry, for example,
Yep.
you have no idea what the hell the game is about.
Mhm.
Or like what are some other super abstract names of games that you have, like Destiny, for example. When I tell you the game Destiny, unless you already have a conception of it, you don't really know
Yep.
what the heck
You wouldn't
Destiny is.
expect it
Monster
to be
Hunter,
a shooter.
yeah, but Monster Hunter, like what Titin said, it's very descriptive.
Yep.
It is actually a game where you play as a hunter, and your main objective in the game is to hunt monsters. Right? That's the whole game. So like Marv explained in the blurb, Monster Hunter is a game where you kill monsters, you carve their parts. Okay, either you can either capture them or you just kill them and carve it on the spot. And it sounds very gruesome, but it's really very PG when you actually play it. You carve it, then you make the armor from their parts, and then you do it again. Because not the armor has like you need specific parts, and then you sometimes you have to. So some armor need to cut the tail, so you need to go and purposely go to the hunt and cut the tail off, and then only after that can you harvest the tail parts. So it's a very visceral game in the sense that like it's not like the monster is just one giant big monster. You kind of have to like the monster itself is a living, breathing thing, and we'll talk a bit more about that. But I think the general gist of the game is that you hunt monsters for parts, which you make into armor, and you just keep doing it over and over again. And I didn't know this, but Monster Hunter has been around since 2004.
For a long,
So
long time.
it's since the PS2 generation. But when did you guys get into Monster Hunter? Which Monster did you
Wow.
first play?
Let me pull up the wiki because I need to see.
Okay,
when I
so it
actually
is
started playing.
the six mainline games is Hunter, Hunter 2, Hunter Try, was Hunter 4, War and Rise. Those are the main series, but there's also a lot of other ones, right? Like GU and Frontier.
How old were we when we went to National Service, Zi Jian?
How old were you? You mean what year you were?
As in, what year was it? 18, 17, 18,
2007,
19,
2008.
19 years old,
No,
right?
2006. Maybe 2005?
So we were born in
Years old.
1987, and we were 19
Yeah, I
years
think
old.
2005.
2006. Okay.
'Cause are you 2 years older than me?
1 year.
Yeah.
But we went in when we were
Then
19, what?
2007. For me, it was 207.
See,
So for you, it's 2.
87 plus 19 is 206, correct?
Mm.
Yeah, so
Uh-huh.
Yep.
I bought my PSP with my first uh my first paycheck, my first BMT
Yeah.
paycheck. Yeah, I think
Ah,
yeah, and then I got Monster Hunter.
so you probably got Freedom 2.
I probably got Freedom. Because
Freedom 2.
Freedom 2 came out in 2007 and I started playing before 2007, like when I bought my PSP, PlayStation Portable. So and I really started playing Monster Hunter. So I probably played Freedom, which is the North America port of Monster Hunter, the
Monster
original.
2.
No,
Oh, is it original?
the original, the first one.
Oh my gosh, so you played the original. Holy
Yes.
crap.
So I played that
That
one.
was
That was
okay.
when I
Wow.
started. I didn't play 2, I believe. But then I believe Zi and I played 3. 3
So you played
Ultimate.
Try.
Yeah, 3 Ultimate
Um,
on the
yeah.
3DS.
Oh,
Okay.
That's when you started, right? On the 3DS?
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, so something that our audience need to know is that Monster Hunter names, like the name of the game, is super confusing
Yes.
because the name that is released in Japan, what they call it in Japan, and when they release it, okay, so Monster Hunter has historically always been very popular in Japan and not popular in the rest of the world. It's not like Pokemon, right? Pokemon is like super popular in Japan and also super popular in the rest of the world. But Monster Hunter is like very skewed until very recently. So whenever they release the Western release, it's always like much later. I think 2 or 3 years later after the original game is released, and they always rename it.
Yep.
So like what Marv said, Monster Hunter Freedom is Monster Hunter 1, and sometimes it's also on a totally different console.
Yeah.
Right. So it's maybe released for the PlayStation 2, but then Marv first played Freedom on PSP,
PSP, yes.
which is a portable game. And then Monster Hunter also tends to alternate, like the releases of the main games they have like two teams that create different games. One is for like the consoles, so like the main console of the time, whether it's PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, and then there's another one which creates it for the portable games. I think back then it was DS, right? They usually
Yes,
created for the
3DS
DS.
and the Wii.
Yeah, the DS, 3DS, Wii, and now for the Switch as well. So it's incredibly confusing. So you guys played Try, and then you have played every single Monster Hunter, almost the mainline games at least. Try 4.
I think I skipped 2, which is Freedom Unite, Freedom 2.
Yeah.
Today I played 3, which is 3 Ultimate.
Mm.
I
4 is GU, I think. 4
I'm
is
not
like
sure.
released as
I'm not sure if we played 4 Ultimate. Did we play 4 Ultimate today? Who was it? Who
Well,
was
I have to take a look at the
I gotta see who is the
the
main monster.
boss.
Is it
Yeah.
Gawa Magala?
Oh.
Let's see.
Let me
Yes,
see.
it's
4
Gawa Magala.
Ultimate.
So we played that
So
also.
you did play that.
Yeah, it's the one that we quit. That we got so mad that we quit. Yeah.
So you
And
guys,
we
it's
cannot,
very easy to it's for them. It's very hard to track. For me, it's very easy because I only played Monster Hunter recently.
yeah.
So
And then
yeah.
we played World. We played World
So
together.
but you guys played GU together, right? Did you guys ever play GU?
What's GU?
Because I think GU was actually
Generations Ultimate.
yeah, Generous Ultimate is actually a collection of from
Oh, no,
Generations.
we
I think.
didn't. So we
No,
didn't play
no.
Monster Hunter. We only played World, and before World we quit after dying to Shagaru
Oh.
Magala. Then we stopped playing all the way until World,
Oops.
which is about
So.
3 to 4 year gap.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Then we
So
picked
I
up
actually
World and Iceborne lah.
okay. Because you can actually play GU right now on the Switch actually.
Yep.
Yeah, but anyway, so that's so you've played almost, I would say 70%, 80% maybe,
Yeah.
of most Monster Hunter games. So but I don't know whether you even recollect how it was like playing like original Monster Hunter. Like I remember the evolution of Monster Hunter. Like now I'm experiencing. Okay, so the amazing about Monster Hunter is that when they make a new Monster Hunter game, it's more an evolution of a game than it is a totally like new creation. It's kind of like Pokemon, like Pokemon Red and Blue, the original Pokemon. It's kind of like the same formula as the Pokemon that you play now. What's the latest one? I mean, minus Arceus.
I mean, the one that's coming out is
Arceus.
Violet and Scarlet lah.
Yeah, Violet and Scarlet. Like the formula of Pokemon is the same, right? You wake up in a house, you meet the professor. He goes, "Oh wait, I have 3 Pokemon for you," and then he gives you the 3 Pokemon. Then on the way out, you meet your rival, right? Then your rival is usually an ass that doesn't like you, and then you have to create some, and then you journey through these 8 towns. Every Pokemon is kind of the same.
Yep.
It's just that like as it goes through, they evolve the battle system a bit more. Monster Hunter is kind of like that. The system doesn't really change, but every time they introduce a new game, they evolve it a lot more. But I would say, obviously, Monster Hunter evolves a lot more than Pokemon.
Yep, for sure.
Like if you look at Monster Hunter 1, and I've seen videos of Monster Hunter 1, not just graphic wise, like it's not even the same game anymore. Basically, you can't even compare.
The systems back then were horrible.
Yeah. So
Monster Hunter 1.
I can't even imagine. Like, okay, so maybe ask this question. I started with World and Iceborne, but which is the game that came out 2018 on PC and PS4. But I think it's the first game that got a lot of people playing it, right? Because it came out on modern consoles and they really pushed the marketing to the Western audience.
Yes.
But I actually didn't finish Iceborne actually.
Okay.
Because I played it quite long after it was released. So I think it came out 2018. I only started playing in like 2020. So like, even after Iceborne was, at least 6 months after Iceborne was released. So I didn't actually manage to finish Iceborne actually. I think I got up to like, I didn't even make it to like the guiding lands. I just kind of like, halfway through Iceborne, I kind of lost steam and stopped. But then between the 3 of us, I think I play Rise the most, judging by the number of hours we have.
Yep.
Yeah, so Rise I would count Rise, even though World is my first Monster Hunter game. Rise is like the Monster Hunter that I feel like I really played the most. Yeah. Okay. So maybe my next question is, I kind of want to ask you, what do you think is special about Monster Hunter that got you guys hooked, especially for you guys, for like who has played since 2005 or 6?
I'll go first, I guess. I think for me, because I'm a very min-max person, right? When it comes to gaming, and I think Monster Hunter does feed into that, because when you wanna get the best armor set, the best weapons, the best decorations and the gems, whatever shit, it does feed into my need to like farm out the best gear. Yeah, which I really enjoy. I mean, there's a huge RNG aspect for certain parts of the gear, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that keeps me going. Sorry, I just want to keep trying until I get the best gear, even though it may be impossible to actually get the best gear, because the chance of getting like the best, for example, talisman is like what 0.00 don't know how many percent, right? It's ridiculous.
That was in World lah, mostly in World, right? A nice one.
I mean, even now, even in Rise, like to get the best deco, correct? Like
no, but the best charm.
The best charm, yeah. So I think that's one of the main draw for me. Combat wise, gameplay loop wise, I would say that Monster Hunter is actually very, very, very deep. If you look past the surface, like on the surface, it looks very simple. You're just killing a monster, to craft parts to kill the even tougher monster. But beyond that, if you look beyond that, the moves of the monster, your own moves, how you read the terrain, how you read the monster, I think that is also another big draw for me lah.
Yeah. What about Zi Jian?
I have to agree with Marvin on the part where he said that you need to read a lot into the game itself. Yeah, I mean, like things like the monsters' moves, they are totally random. How good are you in reading those things and anticipating their moves? Yeah, I think that is one very important part. I mean, as you get good, right, you start to realize that you can actually anticipate monsters' moves, learn your attacks well, and things like it really gets you into the mood of wanting to improve yourself, get the best gear, or rather get the better gear. so that you can just own them.
Yeah. I think we all do gaming for the dopamine high, right? There is this special thing about gaming where yes, there are very boring parts in gaming. And of course there are many different types of games, like but I think most of us who play action RPGs, action games, are looking for that one moment where you do something or something happens where you're like, oh, there's this like shock feeling. And I think what Monster Hunter does really well is that it trims the fat of all that nonsense. Some games have like way too much nonsense around it. Like there's too much systems. If you play a very open world RPG, that like there's too much crap you have to go through before you actually get to the fun part of the game. And I think the beauty about Monster Hunter, especially Rise, I think, because it's just very fast, is that it kind of they trim all the fat. That means you just play. I think some people, I don't know whether it's Rurikan, one of the other Monster Hunter streamers, they say like Monster Hunter is like the boss fight simulator. You just fight the boss. You skip. Like when you play MMORPGs or you play other action RPGs, it's like you fight all the trash mobs, right, all the way to the boss, and then you get to fight the boss. But Monster Hunter is like none of these
You just
matter.
fight the boss.
You just fight the boss, and you keep fighting the boss
is
over and over again until you're right, until the boss becomes trash to you because you've become so good at the game or so good at reading the boss or so good at playing your own weapon that it has become trash to you. And I think that sense of mastery that you get right from okay, the boss is now I can own it is one of the best feelings in gaming, I think. So on that note, let's talk about the two main things that I feel make Monster Hunter. So let's talk about first thing, which is the monster itself. I want to ask you guys, do you guys have, because you guys, so every Monster Hunter game, they will release like a roster of monsters that you play. There are some which are very, very consistent, like it's almost in every Monster Hunter, like Rathalos and Rathian. I think those are the main monsters that I think are in almost every Monster Hunter.
Yep.
So I think Rathalos and Rathian they were the cover of the first Monster Hunter, right?
I think
If I'm not wrong.
Is it Rathalos or
Rathalos, right?
Was it Rathalos?
Yeah, I think it's Rathalos. Yeah. So they're just basically like your standard dragon. They have a little bit of different. I think Rathalos is fire and then Rathian is poison. I think that's the only difference between the two of them. But what are your favorite monsters in the whole history that you've played Monster Hunter?
Wow, that's a very hard question. There's so many monsters.
Yeah. Or like even now when you play, like when you come to new monster, when you hear like, oh, this monster is inside. Oh, okay, we can go the other way as well. Which monsters do you hate a lot? Because I think, I feel like I hate more monsters than I like monsters. Hate as in like I feel like I get owned by them very often.
Okay, if you were to say which one I like the most, or one of the ones I like the most, I don't think you've met this. You probably haven't met this monster. It was in World. I think it's called Namio. Do you know which one?
Namio? No.
Namielle.
Namielle. Namio?
Yeah.
Oh wow! Yeah, I know. I did not fight this
monster. It's a very pretty monster. Yeah, the
wings are like... Okay, so it's an Elder Dragon. Holy crap!
Elder Dragon. Yeah, I really enjoyed fighting this monster, and I also think that was really chill lah. The wings are like purple and red and orange and yellow, and then so what she will do is like she can like cause waves to erupt from her. Yeah.
Is she water based?
Yes, she's water based.
Oh, she's an abyssal dragon. Yeah, she's water thunder.
Yeah,
okay.
So she will water blight you, then she will charge herself up with electricity and she'll jump on you. And if you get hit by that, because most of the time it's a one shot lah, because it's like double damage, right? Yeah. So. And I love to fight her with heavy bow gun.
Because you just aim one side and you just shoot.
Yeah, you can just like go up to her and then block everything. Even, like,
okay, we'll talk about your cheese. We'll talk about your cheese heavy bow gun build later.
Yeah, I think she's one of my favorites lah. If you talk about in Sunbreak or rather Rise,
or that doesn't have to be. It just can be. Sometimes like the basic, like it doesn't need to be like you mentioned an Elder Dragon, but sometimes it can be the basic.
Okay, I have one dragon that I enjoy fighting both in World and Rise, which is.
Can I guess?
You want to guess?
Can you give us a hint and we'll try to guess? Give one word that we will try to guess it.
Explosion.
Basil geese?
Basil geese.
Oh, you like basil geese?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So for those of you who don't know basil geese, you can Google it. Bazlgeuse. He's basically like he has like bombs attached to his body, and he will like shake his body, and then all of the like a dog. Yeah, and then he will like fly over the sky. Yeah, and he will not only just do bombing, right? After that he will like crash, right?
He'll dive bomb you.
To the ground. He'll dive bomb you. Yeah. Okay. I think Basil is like one of the more unique dragons because so the thing about Monster Hunter is that you have different like they categorize different dragons, right? So some are like fanged wyverns, piscine wyverns. They have all these names for the different, and then obviously you have elder dragons, which are like the big boss of the game. So usually the flagship, which is the monster on the cover of the game, is an elder dragon. So although Rise, the main boss of Rise, right, is Magnamalo, right? Okay, he's not the main boss, but he's the cover monster. He's not an elder dragon, actually. Yeah, but usually he's not. But usually the main cover is elder dragon. Like in Sunbreak, the cover monster is Malzeno. Yeah, but he is an elder dragon. Yeah. So what about Zi Jian? Do you have a favorite or a hated one?
My favorite, I would say, is in World, the final boss.
What? Shara is Zelda? Oh, you like Shara is Zelda?
Yeah, first thing first, the name is cool. Second,
is she a lightning one? Is she lightning?
No.
Is she lightning?
Ishvelda is the one that is in full rock, and then when you beat her, she
turns. Yeah. She's also an elder dragon.
Skeleton-looking crab. Man.
Yeah.
So. Oh yeah, she's cool.
Then the one that I don't like, I'm not sure whether you know about this because it only appeared in Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. Marvin should know this. Cadius. The underwater dragon.
Oh yes.
Oh, is it because Fry had underwater fighting?
So you have to swim around to whack it.
But I heard that it's a very controversial mechanic.
Yeah, so I think
you don't see underwater fights anymore.
I think most people will agree that they hated the underwater fighting mechanic.
Yeah, no game has managed to make underwater fighting any fun.
It's 3D. It's 3D, right?
Yeah, you can get attacked from every area.
And it's super awkward. It wasn't very good.
And in the old games, the way that you hold the controller is different, right? Because they use the claw technique or something, right? Because it's not like now.
Like
yeah, the way you can
do with our thumbs and then use the index fingers to move the joysticks around so that you can get the angle.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we didn't all get like, what do you call that?
Arthritis
or something.
From it. Yeah. Okay. So underwater fighting. How
about you?
Okay. So I'll start with my hated monster first. I freaking hate Almudron. So this Almudron is a Rise. I don't know whether it came out. I don't know whether it came out before Rise. I'm sure it did. Or is it a Rise only? Is it new? Do you guys remember
fighting Almudron?
Fighting it before. So maybe Almudron is new. Because so the main thing about Rise is that it's yokai, right? So Rise is the new monsters are based on like Japanese mythology folklore.
Yep.
So like monsters like Gos Harag or what's the other one? Agnosom, I think. It's like based on a particular Japanese like demon.
It's a new monster. Came out, right?
So it's a new monster. Yep. So Almudron is like he's a swamp monster and he has this giant tail and he swims around. But the one thing I hate about him is that I can never predict his moves. His attacks are always a little bit slower. But I think he's gonna attack, but he just sits there in the water and just stares at me. So like when if you play a counter weapon like the longsword or the switch axe, you just like counter, then he just sits there, and then you're like, oh no. Then your counter finishes, then he smacks you in the face. So I hate Almudron. Although Marv says he likes him because he's for pierce
LBG pierce.
He's a long monster, so when you pierce him, it goes like through his whole body, hits him like 3 times, like body, tail, and head all at the same time. I actually like I actually like a lot of monsters, but I think the monster I look forward to fighting most of the time is Gos Harag in Rise. who's also a new monster, and Nargacuga.
Nagakuga.
Yeah, so the thing I like about God's Harak is that he creates these like ice blades, right? He's super cool. So he's like a giant bear. I don't know how to describe him. He's like an ice polar bear. I don't know how to describe him.
He's a polar
But he's
bear.
this giant bear, and then he has two forms. So when he's normal, he's like a normal cuddly polar bear. He'll whack you around a bit with his hands, which are like very small and short and stout and close to his body. Then when he gets pissed off, he roars, he turns red, and then he comes up. His whole arm comes up with like ice blades,
Yep.
right? Like an ice sword, and then he starts to whack you around. So I think that's a really cool mechanic. And the best thing is that as a longsword user, right, in Rise, when you break open the ice blades, right, like you can cut that particular arm off, and then he'll just fall on the ground and just flap around for like 10 seconds. Then you can just whack his face. So I think he's a very fun boss. And Nargacuga is because I think Nargacuga is like the first monster that I fought that I really mastered. Because Nargacuga is quite a simple monster. He has maybe like 5 or 6 special moves that he does, but he's also very fast.
Yep. Super
Right,
fast.
he does that like tail swipe on the ground.
Yeah. And
Right,
he
and when he does the tail swipe, sometimes he does it twice. Right, he'll smack you one time, so you're like, yay! I managed to dodge you. I fall away.
And he'll
Then
go
he
the other
smacks you again. Yeah, and then or he has, like you said, he has the tail spin thing. Sometimes he flies towards you. Like, he's like a squirrel. That's the best way I can describe him. It's like a monster squirrel.
annoying.
Right, because he's an annoying squirrel. But I think once you master his set and you kind of like see what he does, because he's actually quite cool, right? When you actually know when he's about to do the move. Like there's one move where he sticks up his tail like a scorpion and he throws the spikes at you.
The spikes, yeah.
Yeah, so like you kind of tell because he kind of like crouches down a little bit lower and his tail shoots up. Then you're like, okay, I know what he's gonna do. So I think Nargacuga is a very interesting monster because it taught me how to like watch the monster to see what they're gonna do. Some monsters is like you totally don't know what they're gonna do. It's like random. Is he gonna do this move? Is he gonna do that move? You don't know. Then you get whacked the move, you're like, oh crap. But Nargacuga, you're like, for me lah, I was like, okay, I got hit by the monster. I deserve to get hit because I knew what he was gonna do, but I made the wrong choice. So yeah, Nargacuga for me. Okay. Any other monsters you guys wanna shout out that you feel like you hate or you really love? We'll get into more of it later lah. Sunbreak will talk about more about it.
Oh no, it's okay. We can move on.
Yeah. So the next part about Monster Hunter, which I think is incredibly important, is, and I would argue, I think two of you will agree, that it's more important than the monster is the weapon.
Yep.
So in video games, there are very few things that are more iconic than weapons. So when you think of like iconic video game characters, right? You think of like Dante from Devil May Cry or Cloud from FF7. You think of what's his face? You think of Kratos from God of War, right? You think of all these characters. You immediately you don't picture them just standing by themselves, right? As a model, you think of them holding the weapon that you imagine, that you know. Bayonetta with her pistols. So even Mario, right, with his cat. So
I
mean, in Odyssey is his weapon.
Let me ask you, what's Dante's sword's name?
Dante's sword's name, Spada. Is it Spada?
That's his father's name.
That's his father's name.
Come on. Then you play a lot of DMCs, right?
Dante.
I give it a clue. Starts with R.
I feel like I should know this. I played almost all the Devil May Cry games.
It's called Rebellion.
So.
How about his guns? You should know his guns.
That one I know. Those are colors.
Yeah.
They can be stones as well, I guess.
What are they?
Thank you.
What are they?
Starts with E and I.
E and I.
Yeah.
He doesn't remember. He's gonna search.
And Ivory.
Ivory.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, back to the point. Yes, weapon.
So I think the key thing in Monster Hunter is that every weapon. So now there are 14 weapons in Monster Hunter. I think when you first started in Freedom, how many weapons were there? 5?
Let me see.
6 maybe.
Freedom had sword and shield, which is 1.
Okay.
Great sword. Dual blades, hammers, lances, and then light and heavy bowgun. So that's 7.
7. Oh, I think it might have added some of that, because I remember a documentary I watched once that said that the original Monster Hunter only had like 5 weapons.
So that was
and the weapons didn't even play the same as they do now.
I'm sure.
So like great sword is not even the same. But so now there are 14 weapons, and I would say, okay, so imagine all the iconic characters that I mentioned just now, and how different their weapons plays. In Monster Hunter, all these weapons play totally different. Like when you pick up a different weapon, right? It's almost like you're playing a totally new game all of a sudden.
Yep.
Because nothing you used to know about the previous weapon suddenly applies to this new weapon. The moves are totally different. And if you change from melee weapon to range weapon, even the buttons that you press are totally different.
Correct.
Right? The buttons, the L and the R suddenly changes. And so maybe I ask, because for you guys, you played Monster Hunter longer. What was the first weapon that you guys played? Do you remember?
Okay, so
Yes.
I was looking at the Japanese release. The Japanese release didn't have dual swords.
Dual blades, okay.
Yeah, which is what I started off with, dual blades.
I think most people are just attracted to dual blades.
Yeah, so I started dual blades. I think I used dual blades all the way until Charge Blade came out, which I think is
Ooh.
3?
Whoa.
No,
Is it 3?
before that.
No. Charge blade is much earlier than World. It's quite an old weapon actually.
Let me see. I think it's 3.
Oh.
I think there wasn't any new weapons introduced in World. I think World just has the same weapons as it did in GU. Because I played GU, which is from 4, and all the weapons in World are in GU as well. So I don't think they have anything new. Maybe 4 Ultimate or 4 they introduced new weapons. Yeah. But anyway, there are 14 weapons now. And so you played Dual Blades and then Charge Blade in
Monster
3?
Hunter 4. Monster Hunter 4 was when it was released. Yeah. So I picked it up in World. Because I didn't play 4. Did we play 4 Zi Jian? Oh, we did play 4. That was
that was the Shagaru Magala.
So I used Charge Blade in 4, and then I continued using Charge Blade in World. And then I was introduced to the world of light bowgun and heavy bowgun.
No, heavy bowgun. Do you play LBG?
I play both. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe for the sake of audiences, we'll only talk about this one. Can you explain to people what is HPG and why is it so broken in World and why you played it so much?
So, I mean, there are two different things, right? Two different classifications of weapons. So there's melee, which are called Blade Masters, and then there's the Gunners, which uses something called a bowgun. So there are two different types of bowgun. The light one is basically you shoot faster, you move faster, and you can kind of like dodge and roll faster with it, but you have less defense. So the heavy bowgun shoots slower, does more damage though, and you move really slowly. So back in Monster Hunter,
basically.
Yeah, back in Monster Hunter World, some genius came up with a certain build called the shield up heavy bowgun build. Spread. So spread means
shotgun.
Shotgun, yeah. So you have to be really close to do a lot of damage because you can shoot pretty fast with the build. Sorry, you're echoing a bit.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So the key of that build was basically I think you max up your guard and your guard up. And what happens is that because you have maxed of these two skills, right? Whenever you are attacked, as long as you're not attacking, you block like automatically. You don't have to do anything. You just need to be facing the monster. You block.
Is that normal for HPG?
Yes.
So you don't do anything?
Yes, but you need the guard up and the 5 guard 5.
Okay.
Yeah. You take like a super small chip damage. Like every block that you take like maybe like
that's ridiculous.
5 or 10% of the actual damage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the end game build, when I stopped, was using this particular armor set that whenever you attack, you lose health. It sucks your health. But then after you have done a certain amount of damage, you gain back more than you lost. Yeah, so basically you just block everything and then you just keep shooting and then your health will just keep going back to full.
You can't die basically.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about like drinking potions. Yeah, and you can tank almost every attack to the face except like a few
certain mechanics
that you have to run away. Yeah. So after I was introduced, I remember it was a friend from WoW that I met in Monster Hunter, and then they introduced to me I saw him play it, and I was like, what the heck is happening, man?
You just stand in front. Like Fatalis uses his
just-
power. It's just okay. I'm just gonna stay here.
Then he linked me the build, and then that was it lah. So I became
Yeah.
a Bogan main after that.
Okay, so the reason why this is cheese is because when you play range weapons, usually because you play range, right? So you're usually at an advantage because
You're far
the
away.
monster isn't close to you. The trade-off is that you have less defense,
Yep.
right? So if you do get hit, it's a lot worse.
Yes.
That's why the gunner armor tends to be a bit worse in terms of defense, and also in terms of like damage. Usually the damage is a little bit lesser because it's not fair, right? You can sit at the back and pew 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 pew, but you do more damage than damage.
So you
But
balance
I guess
out
with this
because
build,
you have more uptime
yeah,
in a sense.
because you can, yeah, and I guess you're only limited by your ammo lah.
Yeah.
But spread ammo tends to have a lot actually.
Yeah, as in ammo
Yeah,
issues, ammo economy now is not an issue lah.
Yeah.
As long as you're not running the sticky build, the explosion.
Yeah,
build,
and the clusters, yeah, you're fine,
yeah,
right?
You're fine.
So okay, so but what would you say is your favorite weapon? Like, or is it heavy bowgun?
Actually, okay. If you ask me what's my favorite weapon, I think the longsword is my favorite weapon now.
Wow, longsword.
So Ian converted me to the church
God
of
of
longsword.
anime.
Yeah, it's anime. Okay, so the longsword is literally an anime weapon, right? Because
Do the sheath.
there's this one move called the helm splitter where you sheath. When you sheath, you can do counters with it, where you kind of like slide across the floor and you whack the monster in the
Very,
counter, and you
Genshin
take no
Impact.
damage.
Yep.
You take no damage. It has like 2,000 iframes or something like that. Where you basically take no damage during the whole attack, and then you do the helm splitter, which is you kick the boss, and then you just swipe down with your blade, and then like there's like 5 explosions come out from the monster. It's ridiculous. And I think when you hit helm splitters or when you do the counter right, it's like
Yeah.
wow.
There's this sense of like, there's a dopamine rush. You're like,
Yeah.
I did it.
Yeah. Although sometimes they can be quite the opposite, right? You like kick the boss, think about to helm splitter, and the monster was like, nope, then he runs away. Then you slash the air,
Yeah.
and then nothing happens.
But I would say that Sacred Sheath has outranked Helm
Yeah.
Splitter now as the most shock move.
Yeah, because the damage is you see that 900 damage.
Yeah.
Come on, you're
I think
like,
the whole like you slowly sheath your sword
Yeah,
and then you
it's the-
charge. It's so
yeah.
anime. Yeah.
Although with quick sheath is very fast, right? It's like 2
It's much
seconds
faster.
maybe.
It's like ding, then you charge.
Yeah, it's the charge. It takes longer than the
Correct,
actual
because
sheathing,
the
right?
charge drains your eye.
Yeah.
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 So I'll talk about like the difference between because I think I played. Have you guys played range? I think Zi Jian played bow, but bow is kind of a different range than
Oh yeah, it's not.
than
Yeah.
than bowgun, right? So I would say that the game is totally different when you are
Yeah,
playing range and
absolutely.
melee, or bowgun and like whatever charge blade or longsword.
Yeah.
The moves that you have to learn are also totally different. You're observing different things when you're playing either one.
Yeah.
Like let's say I'm playing longsword, I'm actually always looking out for openings where I can counter or I can
Yeah.
go in to fight. If I'm playing bowgun, I'm just staying as far away as possible and trying to avoid all the big damages that can
Yeah.
potentially one shot me, while I'm just like wailing on the monster with shots from
Yeah.
afar. So if you ask me, I would say the bowgun playstyle is much more chill. You
Yeah.
don't have to think so much. You don't have to learn
Yep.
too much. You can stand pretty far away. Just that you might die in one hit lah. That one is unavoidable
Yeah.
if you're not fast enough. Whereas the melee playstyle, you're much more involved, I would say.
Mm.
Yeah, if that's the word to use. You really have to be alert. You cannot like watch Netflix, on another screen.
Yeah.
So I can
Oh,
play
you mean
my
you can watch
bowgun,
Netflix with
and then I can just
HBG?
watch. Yeah, I can. When I play my LPG PS, right, I can just like turn on Netflix and then like watch Netflix while shooting. Yeah,
Yeah.
but if I switch to longsword, I'm like pause Netflix, pay attention.
Yeah.
But both are fun. I won't say
Yeah.
both like bowgun is not fun. It's actually pretty fun as well.
Yeah. But I think what you're trying to say is true. Like, it's like you don't need to engage the monster in a more intimate way. Like you don't need to memorize it. You need to know its moveset, but you don't need to know it that intimately because your main objective is just okay, the monster is near me, get the hell away. Okay, then resume my shooting.
Yep.
The monster is near me, get the hell away to the but with a melee weapon you need to know like okay, he's gonna swipe me with the tail, I need to move to this direction. There's more you need to engage it more intimately.
Yeah, I would say it's like maybe
Um,
50 to 75% more alertness is required. For example, like what you said, you have to look, is the boss going to swipe his tail to the left or right if you're melee? But if you're playing bowgun, you're like, do whatever the hell you want, I'm just going to shoot you from far.
Yeah. What about Zi Jian? Are you the kind where you played like only one main weapon throughout, or you played a lot of it?
No, I think throughout the entire my history with the game, I had only tried 3 weapons.
Okay, so what are the 3?
The first one is straight swords.
Okay.
Straight sword is really just for the aesthetics, lah, I must say.
As a giant sword.
Yeah, then the next one is bow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then currently I'm doing the dual blades.
Okay. So those are the only 3 weapons you've played that you usually play.
Yeah. I have to agree again with what Bobby has said. Like being melee, right? You really have to be very alert. And like what I said earlier, you need to know the movesets of the monsters so that you can react well, dodge well, and attack well. While for bow, even though it's a ranged weapon, it actually plays very differently from the LBG or the heavy bowgun. Yeah. Some people link it to dancing. I'm sure you have heard about it, bow dancing. Yeah. How you dance around, shoot a shot, and run away, then dance again. Yeah, all depending on your stamina. It's quite fun actually. But you have to be really very focused when doing the dancing. Yeah.
I mean bow in WoW, so I know what you're talking about. Bow was like the first. So sorry, for our listeners, I forgot to mention there are 14 weapons, right? So let me just list the 14 weapons. So Marv mentioned he played you played Sword and Shield before?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so Sword and Shield dual blades are the fast weapons. They're like fast weapons.
I made a
then you have
support Sword and Shield build in WoW.
Oh, that's what you mentioned. You just feed everybody, right?
Keep chugging potions and
So Sword and Shield is the only weapon that you can keep your weapons out. So usually in Monster Hunter, when you want to take any items or use any items, you have to like put back your weapon, like sheath it back or holster it back, and then use the item. Then when you want to fight again, you take out your weapon again. Right? That's why people have saying that Monster Hunter is clunky because of that mechanic. But Sword and Shield is like good because you can do anything you want. The weapon still remains in your hands. Sword and Shield dual blades are the fastest, which people say is like the easy mode. Easier, beginner friendly. Then you have your great sword, which is just a giant sword that you just charge and you whack people with. You have your long sword, which is your enemy counter. You have hammer, which when you think of hammer, I want you guys to think of like it's not like Thor's hammer. It's a giant hammer, but it's very short.
You know, Lost Ark latest class release is called the Destroyer.
Is it also a hammer?
And the movesets are like, some of them are like just 99% identical
to Monster
Hunter. Like he does like this spinning thing with the hammer. Then
the spinning gong.
Outward swing.
Oh, that's basically the Big Bang combo.
Bashing, you know.
Oh, that is literally the
totally Monster Hunter, man.
Rip off. Need to pay Capcom. The gun lens, which is a lens that has a gun attached to the end. That's the best way I can describe it. Switch X, which is my main now. It is basically an axe that can transform into a sword. Okay, and then a hunting horn, which is basically a hammer that you play music on it. And then when you play music on it, that's the only way I can explain it. When you play music on it, it gives buffs to your party. That's the best way I can describe it. Insect glaive. Insect glaive is such a hard weapon to describe. It's like a spear.
It's a spear. It's more of a dual bladed.
Yeah.
Thingy.
Okay, it is spear shaped.
You're echoing again.
It is spear shaped, but there are two. But it's like the weapons on both sides of the spear, and then with it, you kind of like see the mechanics. So the reason why it's called insect glaive is because you have this insect called the kinsect, and you throw the kinsect on different parts of the monster, and depending on which part of the monster you throw, whether it's the tail, the head, the wings, or whatever, it will like give you back an extract that will do different damage. Yeah, and then the key thing about insect glaive is that you kind of like every time you hit the monster, you can kind of like ride the monster like a wave. So you're just constantly like in the air fighting the monster. So I think insect glaive is actually the most unique weapon. I don't think there are any Like, I mean, you hear greatsword, longsword, whatever. These are weapons in other games. But insect glaive is like, I've never heard of this weapon before in any other games. Then you have the bow, which Zi Jian mains in some other games. You have the lance, which is just like a gun lance but without a gun. You have heavy bowgun, light bowgun, and the last one is the charge blade, which is there are two transforming weapons. So the switch axe transforms in axe into a sword. The blade is a charge blade is a sword and shield that can transform into an axe. Yeah. So those are the 4 weapons. Those are the 14 weapons. I played bow in World, and I played longsword main in Rise, and now I'm playing switch axe in Sunbreak. But I can honestly say that I have played I've played almost all 14 weapons, like extensively, because I played, I put like I don't know, a lot of hours into into Rise. Most of the hours is just me building different sets and trying different weapons. So the only weapons that I have not played, I have not created sets for and tried, like I've not said I'm not a master, but at least competent in. Like I actually know the moves to play. Sometimes you pick up the weapon, right? If you've never played it for the first time, you have no idea what button does
You
what.
don't know what to press, yeah.
You don't know what to press. You don't know what combos do anything, right? You just like press some random buttons, but you're not doing it correctly. I have not played Dual Blades properly. I have not played Insect Glaive. Yeah, the rest I've played before. Yeah, but yeah, so that's but I think my favorite is like Marth is the longsword. Although now the switch axe is starting to feel very choke. Yeah, so I recommend for you guys to try switch axe if you guys have never tried before. Okay, so let's go on to Sunbreak. So Sunbreak is the latest expansion to Rise, and how can I ask what MR are you guys on now? What master rank are you?
I just hit 2. Like, just hit 2.
So you're at Engineer now, right?
No, sorry, I'm midway through 2.
2. Yeah, because I think there's 2 urgent quests in MR2. Okay. And Titian, you're at 3?
I'm at 3, yes.
Which was the last master rank you fought? Do you remember? Have you gotten to the new area yet?
There is a new area.
Okay, oops. As in, you guys have only discovered the jungle, right? So you've been to the jungle, right? The jungle is the first area you go to lah.
Yes.
In Sunbreak, but there's a new area also. So there are 2 new areas in Monsanto Sunbreak. But I guess you guys haven't gotten there yet. Yeah. Have you fought one of the 3 lords yet?
The what's his name? Garangom, is it?
Yeah, Gorgong.
Yeah, I got it.
That means you went to the new place already lah, bro.
Oh, okay.
Garangom is in the Citadel. So he's like a stone gorilla. Is that the best way to describe him? He's like a stone gorilla. But anyway, so okay, I'm on MR4 now. So the reason why I chung to MR4 faster because you unlock all your switch skills at MR4. Not even at MR4. By the way, I was like waiting for my switches. You unlock your switch skills in the middle of MR4. So you have to fight to the middle of MR4 before you unlock it. And for me, my the switch X switch skill that is the most important switch skill only unlocks then. For longsword, it doesn't matter because I think you unlock Sacred Sheath at level 1, right?
Yep.
MR1.
Yep. And
you only unlock what? Harvest Moon next, and the other slash, right? The Tempered Sturdy slash, something like that.
Yep.
At the next level, which is not as important. So maybe I'll ask, how have in terms of, we'll go in categories, okay? And one of the criticisms of Rise is that it is too easy. Do you guys feel that way? Did you guys feel Rise was too easy?
Yep.
Titian, did you feel Rise?
I feel that it's the same.
Oh, really?
Maybe.
Okay, compared to maybe Worlds, and yeah, I would think that it is a bit easier. Things are easier to kill.
I think, right, for me, it's not the monsters. It's the fact that you have the wire bugs.
Yeah, that's what most people say.
So
You're
in
too
Rise, there's this mechanic where you can shoot out this bug that
You're Spider-Man.
Yeah, literally Spider-Man. So you have either 2 or 3 charges, and it adds another dimension of movement, verticality, right?
Yeah.
So in traditional Monster Hunter games, you can't just fly off the ground whenever you want. Besides being an insect glaive main, that's the only one that can just fall on the ground. You have to find like an outcrop or something like that to jump onto the monster to ride them or something like that.
Yeah.
So the inclusion of the wire bug definitely makes a lot of things easier. Like even when you're knocked down, you can use the wire bug to like spring away.
So wire fall.
Yeah. Whereas if you're in world and you get knocked down and you can't get up in time and the monster smashes you again, bye bye.
You're dead.
Yeah. So
although the wire fall can cause you to die also.
Yeah, true. Yeah. So this one mechanic I think is the sole reason why Rise is I would say a lot more easier to get into. It's less punishing. Yeah.
And do you feel Sunbreak has the same? Or is it just the same?
It's
like you
the
don't
same.
feel
I mean,
it?
Sunbreak to me is just Rise with more monsters, right? And more armor, more
Okay.
gear. Yeah.
So you don't feel like so I agree with you. I think Rise is easier because you have more mobility and the monsters are the same speed. So when you are just faster than the monster, right? Then obviously it's just going to be easier.
Yeah.
But do you feel that Rise? I mean, maybe you haven't reached the new monsters yet. Because I think you MR2. Maybe you have you even fought the new monster yet?
I fought the Blood Orange, but
The Blood Orange Bishaten.
But that one, but Bishaten was already around in Rise.
Yeah, but he's the one. He just throws the fire coconuts at you.
Yeah.
He's quite cool, man. Yeah. But I think it feels a little more difficult only just because the monster hits you harder, right? So now it's a bit more punishing later on. Like like in Rise, I think the monster hit you, you're like, maybe 1/3 of your health gone, maybe even less than that. Here it feels like when you get hit by the monster, like half your health is gone, and you make like 1 or 2 mistakes, you're dead already. Sometimes I die, I'm like, huh? How did I even die? Has that happened to you guys yet?
Not for me. At least not yet, lah.
No.
I want to say also that it's not just the movement, the variety of attacks that you have, the skills that you have.
Yeah.
Is way more than any other Monster Hunter in history of Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
The fact that you have like so many switch skills.
Yeah.
And what silk bind skills and all that. There's none of them were existing in back in WoW.
Yeah.
So
but also maybe because you play longsword, like.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. No, but you're right. I think Sunbreak is definitely more difficult than Rise, but it's not difficult by Monster Hunter standards.
Yes. I actually think it's the best Monster Hunter to get into for someone who's new.
Yeah. It's like the Elden Ring of Dark Souls.
Yes. Yeah. Still pretty
like
tough, but not super tough.
If you've never played a Dark Souls game or you never played a Monster Hunter game, then this is the Monster Hunter to play. Titiana, what do you feel about difficulty since you've actually gotten to? Have you failed a mission? Let me ask you this: have you failed a mission yet?
I failed a mission because people cut it. Not because I killed myself or something like that.
Some people noob lah, not you lah. So that's my next question. So go ahead, finish your sentence.
No, I mean, to me, it's like what you guys have said lah. This is definitely a good entry point for new players coming into the Monster Hunter franchise. And I feel that if you are prepared enough in the game, right, then you should not cut lah, especially in single players.
So for those who don't know what cut is, right? So when you get knocked, when you're killed by the boss, right, you don't actually die. What happens is that like the people, they cut you off in a cart lah, and they throw you back into base, right? And then so there's no death in Monster Hunter. You just like get knocked out, and then the little cats will come and drag you off in the cart. So in a hunt, you only have 3 carts, right? On the 3rd cart, that means if 3 people die, the hunt effectively ends, right? And it can be either the same person who dies 3 times, or it can be like 3 different people die at the same time. That's fine too, right? It doesn't matter. The game doesn't care. So in a sense, the difficulty is if you don't die, or you don't cut lah. Basically, the hunt can go on for very long. I think each hunt is like 50 minutes. But if you're fighting a monster for 50 minutes, something is wrong. Most hunts are like what, 10 minutes maybe, max 15 minutes. Yeah. Okay. I think I'll be interested to know how the difficulty. I've heard, I listened to quite a few reviews that the difficulty of the game ramps up significantly end game. So like the end game monsters past the credit. So that means once you finish the last monster in like you get the credit screen. When you start engaging there's an end game mechanic, right? So Iceborne Base Rise didn't have an end game mechanic. Right. Base Rise was just farm monsters to do the talisman farm, right?
Yep.
Which is very boring. But I know Iceborne had a end game mechanic, right? It had the guiding lens thing, right?
Yeah, and there were raids.
And then, and then you were trying to get the perfect Iceborne is different because you were trying to farm the decos.
Correct.
Right. And then you have to kill So there's an endgame mechanic in Rise, in Sunbreak, and I heard the monsters like cut you very fast.
Okay.
And so when we get there I think the difficulty might change.
Yeah, we'll see that when we get there.
We'll see. How about I'm gonna lump this together. How has the story and music been for you? I mean, I don't know whether you guys have
I'll
experienced
say that
much
I
of the
don't pay
story.
attention to the story at all. In all honesty, I just press next. Just tell
Just
me
skip the cutscenes though.
tell me what to shoot, tell me what to kill. I just skip the cutscenes also, the introduction.
Oh, honto?
Just tell me what to kill, I'll kill it, and then let's move on to the next thing.
How about today? The same also?
Marvin is very objective based. I do try to read through the cutscenes.
Yeah.
So I do know some of what is going on, what are they doing, why am I hunting these things?
Yeah. Do you guys like Elgato? So the new area so Base Rise is like a Japanese village, right? Kamura village. And then it's a very Japanese area. But then the new place Elgato is kind of like a medieval
More steampunk.
kind of setting.
Yeah.
More steampunk medieval. Do you guys like Elgato? The setting of the new hub?
I like Elgato more than Kamura because
Yeah.
stuff is more easier to get to.
Yes.
Convenience.
So, that's true. That's true. How about Tristan, do you agree? Or do you like
Yeah, I do agree because Kamura you really have to run to every place lah.
Yeah.
Everything is very sparsely scattered
Yep.
as compared to Elgato.
Or do you use the teleport function?
In Kamura I did.
I do.
In Elgato,
Yeah, I didn't run anywhere. I just immediately
Just-
teleport to the next
yeah,
place I want to go to.
Elgato you
After
don't
it's-
really have to teleport for
Yeah,
most of the stuff.
because you can see in if you whichever area you're in, you can see where you're gonna
Yeah.
go.
Like you want to eat food,
Wherever
right,
you're
you
in.
go right. Then you want to craft, you go left. Then
Yeah, because sometimes because you can still teleport in Elgato, right?
Yeah.
So I'll teleport to the place, right? But if you look at the map, right, I literally just moved 3 steps to the right. So I selected it's like I'm in the market. I want to go to the tea shop. It's actually just 3 steps in front of me, but I still go and teleport there. Yeah, I like Elgato for the reasons you guys said, but I also like it because I like the setting. Like I love the armor medieval setting of Elgato. Like Admiral Gallius, that the main character, right? Compared to Fugen, is his name Fugen? Elder Fugen
Elder Fugen.
in Rise. Like Admiral Gallius looks way cooler than Elder Fugen. Like I want Admiral Gallius's armor. Like he looks badass in that armor. So I think that's good. I think the cutscenes and the story in Sunbreak is way better than Rise. So obviously the story is not great. Like you don't play Monster. If you play Monster Hunter for the story, you're playing the wrong game. That's like playing. I'm just trying to think what an example of this in another game is like. That's like playing. I don't know. What are some other games that you play for the wrong reasons? I don't know. That's like playing like a story-based game for like action combat. It's not what you play it for. Like you don't play Monster Hunter for the story. But I would say the setting and the cutscenes, like I recommend you guys, if you don't watch the cutscenes, you can watch the cutscenes more closely. The quality of the cutscenes feel more good, like feel better. Like I don't remember Rise. Like the cutscene is just like the monster cutscene, like they intro the monster, but they don't. Here it's like you actually can see people fighting the monsters and stuff like that. It feels it's more like Iceborne and World.
I've never actually watched a full cutscene, so
Yeah, so I really recommend that you either go back on YouTube and watch the cutscene, and then you don't need to follow the story. But I think the cutscene itself is cool, so you can watch that aspect of it.
I haven't met any new monsters, so
Yeah, so I don't think you have any monsters yet, but you will eventually. I think the first new monster you meet is Gorengaum, which is the one that's in. one of the three lords.
Okay lah. I thought Kezu, which is new in Rise.
Kezu?
Kezu is new in Rise, right?
No, Kezu was in the old Monster Hunter.
No, as in he's
That's why
new,
people-
as in he's new here. As in he hasn't appeared in Rise yet until now, right? Until
No,
Spring Break.
Kezu was in Rise.
He was in Rise?
Yes, Kezu was in Rise. He does the snake. He does that.
I don't remember.
People say he looks like a penis, right? That's what people say he looks like. Because he has no eyes and he just has a mouth, right? And he's
Have you
like elongated.
have you guys realized Kezu's? You know, all the monsters have a theme song, right? When you encounter them.
Yeah,
Have you heard? Do you remember Kezu's
I don't-
theme song?
I don't remember Kezu's theme song.
Yeah. You shouldn't because Kezu has no theme song.
Oh, Honto?
You fight him in silence. You know why?
Oh, why?
Because he's blind and deaf. What?
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So he has
I
no
never
theme
realized
song.
that.
Yeah.
Hey,
So he's
he's
just
deaf,
in
man.
silent.
He's supposed
Yeah,
to
he
be
has no
deaf
ears.
also. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's
How
cool.
the hormones on it?
Let me,
I mean-
let me figure out.
I mean, I don't know. His monsters are weird. Okay, but anyway, yeah. So I think story wise it's a bit better. Cutscenes wise, but I don't blame them. Maybe Rise, they had problems with COVID and stuff like that.
Oh, they use
Okay,
they use
now-
smell. They use smell to get around.
He doesn't have a nose. How does he smell?
I don't know.
Anyway, if you've never heard of Kezu before, you guys can go and Google him. Khezu. Even if you don't play Monster Hunter, he is a very strange monster to look at.
There's some pretty good fan art on him.
Oh really? Yeah, don't watch the fan. I watch the real. He's really strange. But anyway, let's talk about graphics a little bit.
I think that's my
Uh,
biggest complaint.
Okay, now you go ahead and share your
No, but it's only
complaint.
because you're playing on the Switch. I think
Yeah,
that's the only thing that I can say lah. Because you're playing on the Switch. If
Yeah.
you're playing on PC, I think this would not be a point. Like there'll be no issues.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think compared to World and Iceborne, obviously it doesn't hold a candle at all because it is definitely created for the Switch. Even if you play on PC, the details, textures are not there because it's created for the Switch. It's just up-res for the PC.
It's like playing Diablo
actually think-
Immortal on a PC.
Yeah, basically. I actually think Rise looks really good on the Switch. Like I think it's one of the best looking games on the Switch. It's just that I wish, and it looks good in. I think it looks even better in Sunbreak because it's more vibrant. But I just want 60 FPS.
Yep.
So that's my biggest thing is that on Switch it's locked. And actually, I don't know whether you guys experience this, but do you guys actually experience slowdown in the game? Like, do you feel like the frame rate drops when there's a lot of things happening on the screen? Like when there's like 4 players hitting the monster. Do you feel?
I haven't. Actually haven't.
I feel like it does. Like, and I there's actually a setting to like crank other players' effects to like 25%
Down,
or 0.
yeah.
Yeah, and I do that, and I still get slowed down when like maybe when they're like 4 Switch X's doing exploding things, then it slows down. But Tristan, does the graphics affect you at all, or you're not really you don't care?
I don't care.
When I played the demo on PC, right, I was like, oh, yeah, see 144 FPS, and you see like totally smooth, no frame rate drops. If that's another thing, Capcom, just do crossplay. If you do it on crossplay, I will give you my $80.
Don't even need crossplay. Just give me cross save.
Cross save, just give me cross save. I will give you my $80.
I'll buy the entire series again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just give me. But I don't know. I don't think they'll do
I
it.
don't
I mean,
understand why they don't do it.
you think about it. If they were going to do it, they would have done it already.
Yeah,
There's no reason for them to release Sunbreak and then say, I'm going to give you cross save at the
They will
end.
make so much money if they do it. I don't understand why.
I
Maybe
know.
the cost of developing the infrastructure is, to them is not worth the potential profit.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Who knows about? But I would say Capcom is actually one of the one thing among Japanese developers is that the Japanese market is actually very console oriented. So if you realize Japanese developers, they only make for consoles. There are very few Japanese developers which make for PC at all. Like FromSoft is one of them.
Most of the
But-
time it's an afterthought.
Yeah, it's like a port. It's always a port. No one develops for PC, but I understand it because in Japan, where I am now, nobody has very few people have PCs, but people buy consoles, right? People play on consoles.
Right? Don't even talk about gaming.
Yeah, don't talk about gaming PCs. People just play on consoles, so I can understand their reticence. But Capcom is actually one of the main Japanese developer that actually puts care into developing for PC. So like even the Switch port for even the PC port for Rise is actually apparently quite good, like very optimized. And I think they make because Capcom's biggest selling IP is Resident Evil, right? And almost all the new Resident Evils have come out for PC. No, I think Resident Evil is their biggest. I think Resident Evil is their biggest. Yeah, most as in highest selling lah. Resident Evil, and then followed by Monster Hunter. I think I researched this the other day. Capcom biggest. Yeah, I think Street Fighter is big, but nowadays Street Fighter is not as popular anymore as before. Yeah. So like I mean Monster Hunter already like world sold like 17.8 million copies. The next level is Resident Evil 7. Yeah. So that's the level of which it is.
World beat Resident Evil 7.
World beat by like a lot. World beat 70.8 copies. Resident Evil 7 is only 10.6. He beat it by like 7 million copies.
Almost double.
Yeah, it's crazy. But then the rest of it is like Rise is only 7.7. But Rise will get more lah. Basically, once I mean this is probably not including Sunbreak. So now with Sunbreak it's probably a lot more already. But anyway, so in terms of gameplay, so I think I don't think the gameplay in Rise has changed that much. The only two additions to gameplay, which I feel that has changed, is the inclusion of 3 different switch skills. So switch skills are like specific switch skills, the skills that are allocated to your weapon.
Yep.
And every weapon has a lot of switch skills now. And the addition of switch skill swap. Oh, that is a... So, in base Rise, you have to like select your loadout before you go into battle, before you go into the hunt. And then you're stuck to these switch skills, basically. So like, for example, let's use Longsword as an example, because... So Longsword has like... this has like your Helm Splitter is one switch skill, for example. And then the other one is... most people will choose either Serene Pose, I think, is the other one. Which is like you use like a switch skill to guard, and then if the monster hits you, you like use one spirit gauge to whack him. But now in Rise, in Sunbreak, you can actually have 2 loadouts. So you can have a red scroll and a blue scroll, and then you kind of swap in between, and different scrolls will have different skills on it. So I think like for Longsword, one scroll is more counter focused, so it has the Helm Splitter and the normal things that you did in Rise. And then the other scroll is used for like, you have this special attack called Sacred Sheath, which does like a crap ton damage, which is more it's more proactive, right? So you use what, Sakura Slash, I think?
I use Sakura Slash to build up meter, and then I spend with...
so
for
with
me,
Sacred Sheath,
I do spending and generating.
Yeah, on your blue and red, is it?
Yeah, I do blue for generating and red for spending.
Yeah. So I think it's what do you guys think about this mechanic?
I think this mechanic makes Rise even easier.
Oh really?
Like it makes combat even easier when you have so many.
But you have to engage with it, right?
Yeah, you have to engage.
You have to use it.
Yeah, but if you don't use it, it's like, why are you not using it? It's
because some people will like not want to use it. Like for example, okay, for Longsword it makes sense. I would say. Specifically for Longsword, like you have a spender and a generator, so it makes sense to use it. But for some other weapons, like for example, I'm using Switch X. The main one I have is Elemental Switch, which is a counter. I don't really switch to blue skill that often unless I need to charge something, which is not that often. Yeah, but I don't know. Today you use dual blades now, right? Do you find yourself switch skill swapping often?
Yes, actually, because for me, right, the red color one I use for more of like aerial combat, while the other one is more of ground based. So yeah, it has its different users, depending on the scenario.
You switch often, is it? Quite often.
Yeah, quite often.
I
think it's very useful.
And you haven't even unlocked the next 2 switch skills yet, right?
No, not yet. The diving bomber thing.
And that's even more aerial, right? Diving bomber.
Correct.
Yeah. So you'll have even more options later on. Yeah. So I think some weapons benefit from the switch skill swap more. like with the longsword and dual blades, it makes a lot. And I think specifically those two makes the most sense. But some weapons they don't use it as much. But I think there's actually a skill in Rise which I don't think you have unlocked yet, which makes this mechanic ridiculously stupid. So did we share it about redirection? Do you guys know about this skill?
You guys talked about it.
So this skill is like when you switch skill swap, if you hit switch swap at the same time that an attack comes, you automatically counter it. And not only is it it's a not a counter, it's an evade. It's like valor evade. You like twist out of the way, you take no damage. And not only that, after you do that, your wire bug charges damn fast. Yeah, and it's only a one skill. Like it's a armor skill that takes only one level.
I see.
Yeah, which is crazy. So a lot of people have been saying like redirection, and there's another skill called blood right, which I think Zi Jian mentioned before, which is like you must have it on your new weapon set. Yeah, but I think it's fun. I think now the gameplay is more interesting. I think we will talk more about this in the future once we've played more to the end game. Because right now, I think for most of us, we only have like we're basically using the same skills that we did in Rise. We haven't really like unlocked new skills yet. But I think the gameplay seems more diverse in the end game.
We're scratching the surface, really. We're literally like,
yeah. Yeah. So, is there any? You guys know the monsters that are out in Sunbreak yet? Have you been spoiled by it?
No.
Okay, so
I don't know anything else.
Oh my gosh, Tristan, do you know?
I know the last boss.
Oh, you really know? Don't say anything. Don't say anything. Please do not say anything. So I know the roster. So the bad thing about Capcom that they need to stop doing is that they release not just the roster, they release almost all footage of like everything before they release the game. Right. The only thing they didn't release is the last boss. But then when they did the launch trailer, the last boss is on the thumbnail of the YouTube video. Which I'm like, dude, guys, you gotta stop. So I've been quite lucky. Whenever I watch Monster Hunter content online, most of my streamers that I watch try to like not spoil me on the last boss.
No spoilers.
So I am very. So then, were you spoiled accidentally, or did you look for it?
It appeared on my YouTube channel, so I'm like, what is this? Then I went to see.
Shucks. Oh no. Was it a big surprise for you? Was it a big surprise for you?
I shall not say much.
Would you have preferred to find out like in game?
Maybe.
Yeah. Would you have like gone to, because obviously when you choose the new boss, they will like have a cutscene, right? Like, oh my gosh, it's this boss. Would you have not preferred to find out? Because okay, for you guys, it's I have a feeling it's definitely a returning monster, right? So that's the reason why it has gotten a lot of people. Because if it's a new monster, everybody would just be like, okay, no, whatever, like, it's a new monster, right? But like, because I'm sure the reason why people are so hyped up and they don't have spoilers is because it's a returning monster. So for you guys especially, because I have only gotten into Monster Hunter since World, so I don't have the depth of history that you guys have. Yeah, so for you guys, you face monster, you'll be like, oh my gosh.
You recognize the monster? When you saw the thumbnail, you recognized straight away?
Yeah.
Shit.
Okay.
I think I will eventually be spoiled because when you look up builds, right? Then
oh no. Yeah. So don't.
You will know what armor it is really.
So, but most good YouTubers would actually tell you at the start, or when it reaches there, it's like, okay, this is a spoiler, don't watch.
Yeah, correct.
Like if you haven't fought the endgame boss, don't. But actually, I would recommend just don't look up endgame builds.
Okay.
Like just look for like early game, mid game builds.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, because if you look for endgame builds, then confirm spoiler.
Once I see
but
the armor name, then I'll know already, right?
I don't think so. Zi Jian, do you know? If you see the armor name, will you know?
Yeah, when I see the armor, I will know.
You see the armor name.
Right?
Just the
armor
name.
Maybe.
Okay, so don't see it all. Don't see it all. Just don't look. Just don't look up.
I will try to stay.
But apparently, do you have an MR4 build, right, for longsword?
I'm not sure. I'm just gonna build the MR2 one first, and then I'll figure it out later.
Yeah. So I think look for an MR4 build. Apparently, the MR4 build can last you like the whole game. Right? Like I'm gonna stick with my MR4 build almost to the end of the game. I think it will last me to the end of the game. Yeah.
Now I want to know. Now I want to know.
So just keep playing. So okay, Marv has less time to play because he obviously plays Lost Ark alongside Monster Hunter. While I exclusively only play, and me and Tian exclusively only play Monster Hunter. So we'll catch up with you and we'll carry you through faster.
Okay, nice.
But please, we try not to spoil for you lah. Anything else you guys want to mention about Monster Hunter or Sunbreak before we move on to just some final thoughts?
Play Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
If you've never tried it before.
We need a third. We need a fourth. Sorry. So we are willing to like carry you through. Now we are Monster Hunter. Now we're Master Rank weapons and armor. So we will carry you so fast to the early game. But I will actually tell people that if you want to get the Monster Hunter, right, like you should try to play not by yourself, but like learn how to play. Because if you get carried through Monster Hunter, especially if you get carried through low rank and high rank, you will like get murdered in Master Rank. Right, you won't really play the game properly. So, yeah, but I recommend people to try. Zi Jian, any last thoughts for Monster Hunter?
Come and be our fourth hunter. It sounds like we are begging for people to come and play with us lah. But yeah, it's a good game lah. Overall, like if you like to hit big monsters and feel good, then come and join us.
I think the problem is that we're playing on the Switch. I think most people, especially the Western audience, or rather the non-Japanese audience, are probably playing on Steam. Like all my friends are playing on Steam.
On PC, right?
Yeah.
I think that's definitely one. I think the good thing about Monster Hunter that I do like on the Switch is that it can be played in very short bursts. So like when you play a hunt, it's like 10-15 minutes. So the good thing about the Switch is that you can kind of just like play one hunt and then put it on the Switch, or even like on the train, on the bus. You just play one hunt, put it down.
Yep.
That's the beauty of Monster Hunter, which I like. Honestly, if I had the Steam Deck right now,
you'd be playing on the Steam Deck, right?
I would convince all three of us to just go play on Steam, because I like the portability of the Switch on.
The year, I think.
You get your Steam Deck in the year, but that's only you, bro.
Q4.
Are they gonna ship it to you when you get it?
Joe's gonna ship it to me, but in Singapore you can buy it, through the third-party markets.
Or triple the price.
For like, I think the 256 version is like $2,500.
$2,500?
Yeah, so it's basically like you can
buy. It's not even triple. It's 5 times the price. 6 times the price.
Yeah, but it's like basically buying a new PC lah.
That is okay lah, but I mean they're capitalizing on the fact that it's a Switch that it's a Steam that you can't get in Singapore, and also now there's shortage, right? So people are getting it later.
It's not shortage, it's just slow rollout.
Yeah, but it's slow rollout because there's shortage.
They're ramping up.
Shortage of
they said they're doubling their production for Q3 and beyond. So hopefully I'll get it a bit earlier than, I don't know, maybe for Christmas.
You'll definitely get it by Christmas lah, for sure.
I hope so. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Because I ordered the 512 version.
Yeah.
And that's
so that might take a bit longer.
Version. It's the slowest, fulfilling version.
Yeah. Maybe. So are you gonna pass your Switch to someone else? No lah. You still probably.
I'm using the Switch for different users, ma. When I'm at home, I leave the docked version in, and then when I go out, I just bring my light.
Yeah, and basically we only use the Switch for games that we can't play anywhere else.
Yep.
Right, like we play it for like Breath of the Wild or like all the Nintendo-based games, even Monster Hunter. None of us, if we can play on the PC, none of us would play on the Switch.
Yep.
Right.
I mean, most games. 100 hours invested in Rise. I think
man.
We've gone to Steam.
Yeah, man. No, let's say no more. Later we're tempted by it. But anyway, final thoughts, please. Even if you don't play with us, I highly recommend playing Monster Hunter Rise.
Yep.
But I also recommend that if you do play Monster Hunter Rise, please look up a guide on a weapon before you start. Because if you just go into the game and you just start pressing buttons, you won't understand the complexity of the weapon or what the weapon can do before. And then I think that's where people drop off. It's like they try the game and they don't know what buttons to press, and they feel like, oh, this is just a stupid weapon. I just press like X to whack the guy down and then Y to like swing my weapon to the right. They don't realize that there's like so many combos they can do with it. So I really recommend. And most like gameplay tutorial videos, it's like 20 minutes long. It takes 20 minutes to explain to you all a weapon can do, and that's like just the basic stuff.
Yep.
So yeah, highly recommend play that and play the longsword. All right, that's it for Monster Hunter. I think maybe we just end off quickly with just some content that has came out the past or finished the past 2 to 3 weeks. I don't know whether Zi Jian has finished or has watched these at all, but Kenobi ended.
Kenobi. You don't watch Kenobi?
I don't think Zi Jian watched Kenobi, right? Did you watch Kenobi, Zi Jian?
Miss Marvel?
No, I don't.
Did you watch Miss Marvel?
I completed Stranger Things.
Ah, okay. I have not watched
I've not.
Stranger Things.
I
So.
haven't watched the 2 new episodes yet. Yeah.
Is Stranger
very
Things
long.
releasing like per week or is it?
No, it's one shot. But they split
Or
up
is one shot?
the first 7 episodes and the last 2 episodes like 1 month apart. Yeah.
Is it just to hype for hype?
I think it's to keep people subbed.
I mean, that's Netflix is desperate now, right?
Yeah.
Netflix is like, yeah. So maybe we just talk quickly about maybe Marv and I can talk quickly about Kenobi, and then Miss Marvel since we haven't talked about it. And I want to talk to you guys about. Okay, has Tristan watched Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness?
Yes.
I just
So I want
finished
to hear.
it, like,
I
the week.
want to hear. Because I watched it recently. I watched it on Disney Plus because it came on Disney Plus. My move to Japan took so long that I actually watched a Marvel movie that not in theater but on Disney Plus.
Right, yeah.
But no, I'm definitely gonna watch Love and Thunder when it comes out in the cinema. Yeah,
It's
I'm not gonna wait
tomorrow.
3 months for it.
It's coming out
Is it tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yes. Tomorrow, man? Not on the 7th.
I think Singapore sneak previews are tomorrow.
Okay.
Oh crap!
It looks
Buy
good, lah.
tickets halfway. I forgot.
I'm excited for that. But anyway, let's talk about Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness first. So it came out like I think 2-3 months ago. I know Marv's thoughts about it because we talked about it with James before. What do you think about the movie?
I think overall, I think it's just average lah.
Okay.
What about?
Oh, okay. Why do you think it's average? Like you just think the plot is very like meh.
Yeah, it's quite meh. I mean, it's quite meh. It's quite straightforward. Like, oh, okay. Since at the start you already know like, hey, what's going to happen. So you are just looking out for the effects and how are they going to play out the entire storyline. But I was, I mean, superficially, I'm quite. I mean, the part where he actually shifted his consciousness to the undead version of himself, that was quite interesting. But other than that, if you want a storyline or this, right, it's actually I mean, meh, normal.
So, okay, so before we continue on, this will be a spoiler filled. So if you haven't watched it yet, it's available on Disney Plus. Go and watch it. Stop this podcast. Go watch it first. I don't want to spoil it for you. So 3, 2, 1. Okay, now spoiler. I thought it was a very interesting show. Marianne actually, I watched it with Marianne. Marianne actually enjoyed it. She said it was quite interesting. In terms of its style, because it is a very different Marvel movie. It's directed by Sam Raimi. It has like remnants of like a B grade horror film, right? Like there's this one scene where I think Scarlet Witch is chasing them through the sewers. Is it through the sewers or through some tunnels? And she's like a zombie, right? She's like zombifying after them. And I think it's a very. I don't mind the uniqueness of the directing and how it's filmed, but I just find the premise of what's the name of the character? The star? What's that she does the thing where she can go through multiverses?
America Chavez.
Yeah. What's her Miss America? Or something? America?
No, she's just America Chavez. Yeah.
I find it too.
America is a pageant.
I don't know. I don't know. I just find it too. I found it convenient. A bit too convenient for the plot, and the whole idea of like, okay, so the one thing I didn't like, my main gripe was because we watched WandaVision, right? Marv, you watched WandaVision also?
Yep.
And then Tristan, you also watch? Do you not feel like the whole show kind of negated the whole WandaVision cycle.
Yep. I mean, that's what I say, right? When we talked about it with Jamie, the one reason why I didn't like it as much as I wanted to was because it's basically a rehash of WandaVision, kind of.
But worse. It negated everything it did.
With no resolution.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the resolution is stop wanting. Yeah. So she tries to get her kids back. Then she realizes that at the end that like, oh, this is not the right way. Basically lah, kind of lah. Like redemption story. But that's the whole premise of WandaVision. 10 episodes of WandaVision is just her trying to get kids back and then realizing that this is not the right way. Right? And then she tries to do it again.
Again, yeah, exactly.
In this show. Like, what? Why? Like, do you not learn anything from... Yeah. Do you not learn anything from the previous 10 episodes that I watched and put into WandaVision?
Exactly.
So, I think that was one of my biggest plot points. But I just thought the one thing I thought was cool was when they went into the alternate universe where they had the like pseudo Illuminati, where they had Charles Xavier. That was a very Marvel-y Easter egg for like Marvel fans, where you had like, what's the name as Fantastic Four? Joe Krasinski? What's his name? As Reed Richards.
Oh,
is that his name? John Krasinski or something like that.
John?
I don't know. He's the guy from The Office lah.
Yes, John Krasinski. Yeah.
Yeah. So like Reed Richards, and then
casted along that.
Oh really?
And then
they made it real.
Sam Raimi just decided to like
to do it.
We'll give some fans.
Yeah. So they had like Captain Carter and then Miss Marvel as this black girl, and then they all got owned. They all got right? Yeah, and then they all got owned by Scarlet Witch.
Yep.
Like but I thought that was actually quite like the fight scene was like I think like what happened? Like some of their heads exploded, some got cut in half.
Black Bolt's head exploded.
Yeah, because she sealed his mouth and then he spoke, right? Like boom. I'm like, I mean, but I told Marianne, I was like, okay, if you really know Scarlet Witch powers, then you like in the Marvel cinematic, in the Marvel universe, not the cinematic universe, like Scarlet Witch is like literally one of the most powerful beings in the world. Like, she almost killed Thanos basically if they didn't interfere with her.
Mm-hmm.
So
she's a level mutant lah. Mutant. In the original X-Men.
So I would rank this. I don't know how would you rank it, but I would definitely rank it in the lower half of the Marvel movies. It's not Thor and Thor 2 level bad, but it sits somewhere above Iron Man 2 and 3.
I think for me, it's in the top half, but maybe right at the bottom of the top half.
So like really just middle of the
pack. Because I did enjoy it. Like I like contrary to what Jamie feels, I actually enjoy the directing style. Because I like Sam Raimi's directing style. Yeah, like the original Spider-Man's. What was it called? Drag Me to Hell. All those movies.
Yeah.
I like his style. They're different.
Yeah. Tuten agrees with me more. Do you put it at the lower of the pack?
I would put it right in the middle lah. It's nothing that bad, but it's nothing that fantastic as well.
Okay.
It's watchable. I mean, watchable on big screens. But then, I mean, if you have the spare cash, go ahead. No problem.
Spare cash. Don't need spare cash. You just have Disney Plus. Just watch it on Disney Plus. I would say it's not. I don't feel like I waste my time watching it. Like if I watch it on Disney Plus, I feel okay. Like it's not like when I watched Thor 2 and I'm like, what the heck am I watching? Why am I wasting my time on this? But it is not like. It is nowhere near like the highs of the best Marvel movies. What do you guys? So Mark has watched Miss Marvel, right? All the way to the latest episode.
Yes.
Then you have not.
No.
Have you watched? No. Have you been keeping up with all the Marvel TV series?
No. More on Netflix.
Okay. So I think. What do you think so far? Of Miss Marvel. Episode 4, right?
I think it started off good, but I think it's tapering off for me. Okay, so the last episode was, without saying any spoilers, was the first time I'm like using my phone like during the show.
Yeah.
Surfing Reddit instead of focusing on the show.
Yeah.
Then I realized what I was doing. I was like, maybe the show.
You lost interest.
Yeah. I didn't say I lost interest, just that I'm still interested, but it's not as captivating as the first couple episodes.
Yeah, I agree. I think the reason is that the first 2-3 episodes kind of like was very like grounded in her world and the world that she lives in, very culturally appropriate. And then if you it's not really a spoiler, but basically in episode 4, she gets yanked out of her world and she basically like gets exposed to a lot more stuff. And I feel like that kind of pulls it away from what I liked in the first 3 episodes.
Yep.
So
they build up like all her friends and her community and how she's
and then they're gone.
And then she just goes to what Pakistan, right?
Yeah. It goes back to her, and then she suddenly meets her new friends. I think it's the opposite of Moon Knight, where I felt Moon Knight started slow. Although Moon Knight, all episodes are good. Tristan, do you watch Moon Knight?
I didn't complete it actually.
Oh, really? You should finish it. I'm not gonna spoil it. I'm just saying that for Moon Knight, I felt like Moon Knight peaked near the end, although it was really good at the start. But I think Moon Knight carried its momentum and even got better near the end. Well, I feel like, especially if by tomorrow, if Miss Marvel like has a bad 5th episode, I'll be like, okay, you kind of lost me already. Because it's only 6 episodes, right? Or 7 or something like that.
I think so. But I'll still
probably
watch
only 6.
End, I mean, I'll still watch.
I mean, I was still Marvel fans, so to watch it. But it's like, if it ends badly, then it will be a bit of a regret. And then Kenobi obviously ended, I think 2-3 weeks ago. How did you feel about it?
I could have done without it, honestly. I mean, for all the...
As in the whole 6 episodes you could have done without it?
As in, I could have done with the entire series.
Wow.
If it didn't exist, I don't think I would mind. Despite all the throwbacks and all the nostalgia moments, those were great. But I don't think I would have felt any different if it didn't exist. Because I don't think it added anything to my the mythos or the excitement for that period of Star Wars. So that's how I felt.
So the thing about this show, about Kenobi, if Zi Jian watches it, is that I think like the highs of the show is very good, but the lows of the show are very low. Like I think it's a very uneven watching experience as a Star Wars fan. Like the first 2 episodes I really loved. I think they grounded it really well. Like, because the first 2 episodes is kind of like Kenobi is like kind of noob, kind of hiding, and then they kind of like showcase like the new Inquisitors and how they are very dangerous and stuff like that. But then when they started going into like the whole resistance, the start of the rebellion, and then they started introducing Leia. Sorry, spoiler. I felt it kind of lost its purpose. And then like the thing about Star Wars, especially for Star Wars fans, is that power levels is a thing for us, right? And so when power levels fluctuate a lot during a 6 episode series, it's very jarring for us. So like when Vader, okay, so spoiler, when Vader pulled Obi-Wan through the fire in episode 2, I was like, damn, that's hardcore. But I can imagine it, like that's canon, that's believable in canon to me, because Vader is freaking Vader. And Kenobi is like withdrawn from the Force. And then like when Vader pulls down the starship, that's fine to me. That's freaking Vader. Right. But then when Kenobi owns Vader, as much as Kenobi is one of the strongest Jedis in that lore, like it feels such a huge like switch to me. Did you feel the same way, Muff? Were you just like, what the heck is going?
I also felt that he powered up too quickly.
Yeah.
Kenobi.
Like I think he can power up. Like it's nothing wrong with powering up because Kenobi is comparable. Like Kenobi did dismember Vader, right? Anakin, right?
The thing is that he's been cut off from the Force for like what, 10 years?
You don't take it back immediately.
Yeah, he hasn't been training. He's probably like fat, you know.
Yeah. And then he suddenly comes back and like just like
he's
destroys
like,
Vader.
You haven't done CrossFit for like 2-3 years.
10 years.
You come back and then you can just like deadlift like
kill Rich morning.
away.
Yeah. So, and I mean, there are obviously a lot of plot points that are like when you watch, you're like, what is going on? Why is this happening? Like when she sneaks, when
Leia,
they
he
sneak through
hides
the
Leia
when it's like underneath his
underneath
cloak,
his cloak. Yeah.
through the whole Inquisitor's fortress, and nobody says anything. I'm like, what the heck is going
So
on?
there's one scene, right? There's one episode where Princess Leia, as a kid, she gets caught by
Yeah.
the dark side people, the bad guys.
Yeah.
And then Kenobi sneaks in and rescues her and hides her under his long cloak and walks out of the base with her.
And nobody stops them until the very end. And then the stupidest part after that it gets even stupider because like they're about to escape. Then two not A wings, what are they called? Not Y
Snow
wings.
speeders. Speeders.
Two speeders
Yeah.
come in, which is also stupid because speeders are not space like they're meant for like planet defense. But anyway, they fly in, then they with no obstruction to them. By the way, nobody stops them. This Fortress Inquisitorius has no planetary defense whatsoever. Any random ship can come through, drop two speeders off, and then one speeder, I think he just stops in the middle of the air and just fires at Reva, right? It's just like, and then she blocks all his like all the things. I'm like, come on, guys. I mean, it's like even when something is cool, it has to have like context, right? It can't just be like cool for the sake of cool. And that wasn't cool. So there's a lot of points in Kenobi where I'm like, that was the lowest episode for me because I was like, what is going on? But anyway, okay. One last thing before we all go. Do you guys want to share one thing that you guys have been like watching or reading or playing that you wanna shout out?
Didn't go first.
One thing that I've been watching and playing. Okay. So I've been reading this book lah. I'm sure a lot of you knows Atomic Habits. Have you guys heard about it before?
Atomic what?
Habits.
No.
Habits.
I thought Atomic Bomb.
You'll be a worry, right? If I start reading into how to make atomic bombs.
I mean, it's not easy to make one, so okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I just started reading it lah. So it's actually, I think it teaches you how to be consistent in life through making small habits instead of big changes lah. And so far, I think I'm like few chapters in the book, so it has been quite helpful in a way that it tries to draw reference from everyday things, like small things that you don't really notice, but they are actually there for a reason. Like for example, how supermarkets they actually place their drinks, things like that, to get you to notice it subconsciously so that you can buy it.
Yeah.
So it actually applies those kind of concept into making habits in your life so that you can be more consistent in order to achieve what you want to achieve lah.
Yeah.
I think it's a good read. I would definitely recommend to you guys if you guys are free.
How long is it? Is it very short?
Not a very thick book. I'm reading the ebook actually, so I'm not very sure.
Okay.
But then,
so you're reading on Kindle,
I'm reading on the iPad actually.
Oh, okay. But okay, all right. Okay, cool. Atomic Habits, not Atomic Kitten. That's a blast from the past. Okay. Bar.
Like you said, I've been playing Lost Ark lah. So still playing Lost Ark. Actually, just finished the raid yesterday. So a new raid came out last Thursday.
Congrats.
Thanks. We spent about 2 hours plus on Sunday. It's Sunday. Hold on.
Yeah. I think it was
about 2 hours on Saturday night, and then another like an hour plus yesterday. We managed to clear the entire raid, which was great because it's always nice to finish a new raid before reset lah.
Yeah.
So this one was a lot more complicated than the previous one. A lot more mechanically heavy. A lot of raid wipes. Like one or two people make a mistake, then the whole team wipes that kind. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of this raid. It's called Vikers. and it's one of the rates that a lot of Korean players, because Lost Ark came out in Korea first, right? But like, you guys need to like play Lost Ark until you at least experience this raid. So there's one particular mechanic in the raid.
Oh, I've seen this one. Is it the one that
the typing test?
Oh really? Oh no, I've not heard that.
Yeah. So she's a succubus lah. Then she would like charm you, and then everybody goes into this cutscene where you have to do 2 sets of typing of QWEASD. So but there'll be 8 letters and it's random. So you have 5 seconds to hit all 8 letters, and she does it twice. If you fail any one of them, you fail totally. So basically the party. But the gimmick is that while you're doing it, right, she's like trying to seduce you with her boobs and her body and like getting.
So on your screen you just see.
Yeah. She's like flashing her body in front of you and asking you to look at her. You go look up a video. It's quite funny, but
no, I don't want to.
Make sure your wife doesn't see what you're.
No,
it's not anything like R21. It's computer games. Maybe M for video games lah. Yeah. So that was a fun fight. Yeah, we could have done it on Sunday, but we kept wiping at the final stand. So this boss is like a final stand, kind of like Destiny, where the boss doesn't die at like 1 health.
Yeah, you have to bust her down at the end.
And I think we were a bit complacent because we got to the final stand like pretty early, and then we assumed that the ending would be the last part would be easy, but it wasn't lah. So you still have to do like mechanics like quite a bit, like maybe about 2 minutes of the fight. It's actually in the final stand. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So on Sunday after the raid ended, I was a bit pissed with not with the team but with myself. I was like, we should have stopped and like we shouldn't have like continued to bang our heads against the wall. We should have taken like a 5-minute break to go check what we were doing wrongly, like watch a video again or something like that. So I did that on Monday lah, because I was on leave. So I did it on Monday. Then I read up. Then I told my raid group that this is what we were doing wrong. And then on Monday, I think we got it in like 2 tries. Yeah.
So it's a strategy thing lah. Basically, it wasn't a mechanical thing.
We were not executing it properly lah. We thought like free fight, final stand, but no. Yeah.
Oh, it's okay. It's probably less frustrating than the Destiny one. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's much. I think Lost Ark is definitely more casual friendly in terms of raiding lah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just Destiny. It's just that you guys were doing World first. You guys were doing for day 1. So.
Test mode. Yeah. The hard part of Lost Ark is actually the upkeep. Getting to the level to raid. Yeah.
Gearing lah. Yep. So that's the hard part. Okay.
Yeah.
I have something to sorry.
Go ahead.
I have something to recommend for you guys. So I don't know whether you guys read web novels. I am a recently huge fan of Xianxia, which is like a Chinese cultivation novels. So like those Jin Yong, those 小龙女 杨过 神雕侠侣 kind. So those are the very old. But then there's also a whole new. I didn't know know this existed, but there's a whole new genre called fantasy cultivation. So there's like Western cultivation and there's Eastern cultivation books. So Eastern cultivation tend to follow like the Chinese style lah. Like foundation level, then you must increase your qi, then you break through to the next level. There's like this kind of cultivation. But there's this recent web novel that I found called. There's actually a website called Royal Road. I don't know if you heard it before. Royal Road. You can go look at it now. But basically, authors, like aspiring authors, actually release their books on Royal Road, and it's free. You can read it online for free. So recently, I found this new cultivation novel called Beware of Chicken. Right, it's a stupid name called Beware of Chicken. But it's a very interesting novel because the author, he wanted to like subvert expectations on the traditional like cultivation novels where it's like Naruto. You have this one guy who works very hard, then he breaks through, and he faces all these challenges. So the story of this is like an isekai. Have you heard of isekai before? It's like isekai anime where you like the guy dies and then re-emerges into a different world. So he's this guy. He dies. He re-emerges into this other world where he enters this cultivation world where he's like screw this, I'm not gonna try to cultivate, like I don't wanna die. So he decides to go to one corner of the world and become a farmer. That's his goal. He wants to become a farmer. But he doesn't realize that while he's trying to do farming, right, and he's learning all these things, he's actually increasing his chi. Like he is actually like, so he doesn't realize that he's actually becoming more and more overpowered. Like he's making like his rice that he plants is like overflowing with chi. Right. And so much so that he's become so powerful that even his animals that he raises have become spirit beasts. So the reason why it's called Beware of Chicken is because his rooster that he buys, right, eventually becomes like a spirit beast that can destroy most people, basically. Most cultivators. So as a joke, he like puts on his farm, his first sign he puts out, he says Beware of Chicken. So it's very funny because the way that the novel is written is sometimes he writes it from a perspective of the rooster as well and other spirit beasts. So it's not just from the perspective of the cultivator, the main character. It's also from the perspective of the chicken. Like he calls the chicken Big D. So he's from America. He's an American character. So he calls his chicken Big D. We know what D stands for. But then the chicken calls itself Peter. Like it's like a yeah, and then like he calls his cat Tiger, but then she calls herself Ti Gu Er. Like it's a Chinese name, right? Because they are thinking of themselves in Chinese names. Like they just think that is like is in Chinese names is like a affectionate thing, right? Like so she just thinks her name is Tiku, and then is her affectionate name. Yeah, but eventually all the animals in his farm become like spirit beasts. So like he has a carp that becomes a dragon. And his carp is actually a dishwasher. So his carp just sits in the river and he just feeds all the dirty dishes to the carp. And the carp will just eat all the leftover food and then wipe the dish clean for him. But he eventually becomes a dragon. So it's just a very interesting novel because it kind of like subverts all the he himself doesn't really know that he's become like this insanely powerful like master all of a sudden. But then people are coming to his house and like wanting to learn from him. So if you guys are interested, you can read it. It's for free anyway. So if you guys are interested, can try reading it and then we can talk about it more. Yeah, cool. So that's what I've been reading. So I think that's about it. I said I'll keep it short, but we didn't keep it short at all. We kept almost for 2 hours. So but I blame the fact that we went to get beer. So that took about 20 minutes or something. So so make sure you follow us on Instagram, on Facebook. Thank you, Zi Jian, for joining us. I think after this,
if you wanna join us for our Monster Hunter hunts, just message one of our social media down below.
Yeah, and then you can join us. If you already play Monster Hunter, you can join us, and then we can play together. So I think right now the three of us are probably going to do some hunts together. If not, thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode of Two Gamer Dads Podcast. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.